Amongst those facing losses, other asset managers
I
including
won. I use that
PGIM and
incantation.
CIFC held First Brand's debt through collateralized loan obligations. Some of these CLOs bought the debt near face value. It now trades at just over 33 cents on the dollar. Tricolor's collapse has hit banks directly. JP Morgan, Barclays, and Fifth Third provided warehouse lines of credit to the company,
Oops.
expecting to be repaid once the auto loans were securitized. That will take a gain. Fifth Third has accused Tricolor of fraud, alleging that the company pledged the same collateral to multiple lenders. The bank has warned of a
Oh,
$200
really
million
long.
impairment. Bondholders are now scrambling to protect their claims. Clearhaven Capital has been calling other investors to avoid being trapped. Triumph Financial, a Dallas-based bank, reportedly sent employees to Tricolor dealerships
I don't think
to
it's guilty at
repossess
all.
vehicles that were pledged as collateral. It's unclear based on the news reports if they sent lawyers and tow truck drivers, possibly both, because you probably need both. Auditors are also under scrutiny. BDO gave First Brands a clean audit earlier this year, and the company collapsed just months later, revealing a $12 billion worth of liabilities. Deloitte was hired to produce a quality of earnings report, but the bankruptcy beat them to it. Timing, as ever, is everything. Some investors saw the trouble coming. Apollo Global Management and Diameter Capital shorted First Brands debt before it collapsed. Others moved in after the fact, buying distressed loans at steep discounts. Goldman Sachs reported that nearly $1 billion of First Brands debt changed hands in a single day. Private credit is often described as being outside the banking system. That's not quite true, however. Non-bank lenders, private credit funds, hedge funds, specialist finance firms, all borrow from banks. They rely on revolving credit lines, warehouse facilities, and bridge loans. These arrangements don't show up in public filings, but they do matter. Bank lending to non-bank financial institutions, NBFIs for short, has surged. It now accounts for all of the growth in bank lending this year. One regional bank reported $62 billion in loans to shadow lenders, roughly a fifth of its loan book. Most of it is categorized as business, private equity, or other, which is finance report don't ask. The risk isn't just that these lenders might fail, it's that they might draw down their credit lines at the worst possible moment. A non-bank financial institution under pressure is most likely to tap its bank credit just as the value of its collateral is falling. That's what bankers call runaway risk. Regulators can see the exposures, but investors can't. Quarterly filings don't break out NBFI lending in useful ways. The system is opaque by design. That opacity is part of what makes it fragile. Wall Street doesn't seem rattled. The leveraged buyout of Electronic Arts, a mature gaming company with flat revenue, was announced just days after First Brands collapsed. If there's fear in the market, it's wearing noise-canceling headphones. The deal valued at $55 billion is the biggest leveraged buyout in history, topping in dollar value the $45 billion buyout on Texas Utility Group (TXU) in 2007, which later filed for
What was I doing?
bankruptcy. The deal includes $20 billion in debt and is described by the FT as a huge bet that AI
10
will
real,
reduce
10
the
real.
company's operating costs, allowing equity investors to manage a large net load on a company that historically carried limited net debt. If there's fear in the private credit
Oh, wait a
market,
minute.
it's not showing up in the deal flow. There's no sign of a crisis, but there's no real sign of caution either. The most revealing work on First Brands didn't
What
come
do you
from
want?
rating agencies or investors. It came from Robert Smith at the Financial Times. Smith and his team uncovered prior fraud allegations against Patrick James, the company's founder, by digging through court records, work that it would appear many lenders failed to do. The cases that Smith found came out of losses during the financial crisis in 2008 and were for millions of dollars, not billions. These cases were settled, not dismissed. Smith has spent years covering credit markets and has written about numerous scandals in the past. He recognized the warning signs, related party complexity, off-balance sheet debt, and lenders unaware of what other lenders were doing. The FT's coverage of First Brands was built on public records and financial statements. Smith has pointed out on LinkedIn that all of the factoring expenses weren't disclosed. The spreads were visible. Some investors saw the problem and walked away. Others didn't bother to look. Smith's reporting filled a gap that investor due diligence should cover. Credit markets aren't exactly melting down, but they're not really compensating investors for the risks that they're taking either. First brands and Tricolor are not systemically important, and their failures didn't trigger panic, but they possibly reveal how fragile some corners of the credit market have become, especially where opacity meets leverage. These weren't exotic instruments held by speculative traders. They were AAA rated securities backed by collateral sold to institutions that prize stability. The structure of risk has changed a lot since the global financial crisis. Much of today's subprime and corporate debt sits with investment managers, insurers, and pension funds, entities funded by longer-term liabilities. That's a far cry from the asset-backed commercial paper and bank deposits that once underpinned the last crisis. But the funding model isn't the only variable worth watching. Private credit has grown rapidly, and so has its reliance on bank financing. Robert Armstrong pointed out in a recent FT column that shadow banks now account for all of the growth in U.S. bank lending this year. At $1.7 trillion, he points out that shadow bank lending now represents 13% of total bank loans and far more of the largest institutions. There's no sign of fear in markets other than the dollar being down about 10% year to date. Credit spreads are tight, equity markets are buoyant, and the largest leverage buyout in history was announced just days after First Brands collapsed. If investors are worried, they're certainly showing it. But the question isn't whether the market.
Hello, this is Shanoa. Now, regarding your question, you want to know what does your future love life look like, and you want to know will Richard love you? Going by your cards, Two of Wands being reversed signifies someone who isn't really able to meet someone halfway on something. So I believe this would indicate that Richard isn't really in the place yet to meet you on that level of emotion, but there is room for progress. Ten of Wands being in the center of the spread represents that there is a lot of baggage, a lot of stress and anxiety on Richard's part. So I do believe if this gets cleared up a bit, this should change things about his disposition towards you. Queen of Swords represents your future love life, and it mostly shows that you will have to endure a lot of difficulty and adversity on your end, but it also represents someone who has the strength to handle all of that. So I would take this as a positive card. Your spread essentially is saying that you have a lot of obstacles in your way right now when it comes to love, but you are more than capable of handling it. If you'd like further details about your compatibility with Richard, as well as what future events lie in wait between the two of you, you can give me a call or send me a message. Tenryo, 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 Tenryo. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't know. No one's trying to see that shit.
Simple explanations, especially for a non-technical audience. If you're prepping for AI machine learning questions for a technical interview, refresh fundamentals like machine learning algorithms, data pre-processing, and deployment best practices. Practice coding.
And yeah, I'm definitely not drunk, but at this point, I kind of wish I was.
Including pipelines, scalability, and real-time handling. Review model interpretability and be ready to explain shall, line, and ethical considerations. Make sure you stay current because interviewers may ask about the latest AI trends which are changing every day. At the end of the day, interviewers on Upwork are really looking for technical proficiency with applied problem solving, collaborate in remote settings, cultural alignment, and authentic expertise, something you can't fake with AI tools. To succeed in AI engineer interviews, you have to align your technical skills, communication, and recruitment. If you're hiring, focus on asking the right AI engineer interview questions. If you're interviewing, focus on giving clear, authentic answers. For more AI job interview tips and AI hiring best practices, check out the resources on the Upwork Resource Center. And don't forget to subscribe here for more guides on Upwork hiring and interview preparation.
Sales growth of electric vehicles has slowed dramatically this year. Tesla delivered 20% fewer cars in the first quarter of 2024 than in the prior quarter, and BYD, who was previously the world's biggest maker, saw sales decline more than 40% over the same period. BYD's sales were still up 13% when compared to the same quarter a year earlier, while Tesla sales were down 9%. Both companies have been slashing prices to stimulate demand. While EV sales overall are
Hello, this is Shanoa. Now, regarding your question, it seems that you want to know if you really do make a difference in the lives of your clients. And you also want to know how they see you and if it's in a positive way. Going by your cards, the tower being reversed tells me that when clients come to you, they're going through a lot and they have major problems and they're looking for you to solve them. Knight of Cups backs this up since it usually indicates someone who can make plans towards a certain goal. Nine of Swords being upright shows that while they do still end up having some negative effects after working with you, it does seem to be that it's still a step towards something better. So I don't think you should worry about whether you're having a positive effect or not on your clients, because you're definitely helping them get to a much better place than when they come to you originally. If you want further information about what the future holds for you in your career, as well as how you can best service your clients, you can give me a call or send me a message. Hey, how are you? I sound weird today. I think it's the weather. Am I getting sick? I've been battling it, but right now, no. What's been going on with you?
EVs and ICE vehicles told the FT last month that car makers are telling their suppliers to switch focus away from electric models as they deal demand. He forecasted that car makers would be forced to cut EV prices again later this year. So why are we seeing this decline in sales? The global
Can we check energy around T? See if he's going to change his mind again. I thought we looked at that. That he's definitely going to come back around. I mean, has he said anything to you?
Is the slowdown that we've seen so far this year just a blip on the road to mass EV adoption, or are car buyers less enthusiastic about EVs? Learning a little every day.
Not about that. I mean, what? So he's just been like coming home and like going to bed or something? He's back staying in the house, but it's been cold with me.
Brilliant has thousands of interactive lessons in their app, with new ones being added monthly. They have a new section called How LLMs Work, which I've been exploring. Brilliant is built.
I think it's sinking in for him.
How much time you want to spend on the app every day. The app then works out your skills.
All that bluster.
Content with your needs. I've told it 6 times.
So you just want to know when. It says in about 3 or 4 more days.
Try everything Brilliant has to offer free for a full 30 days. Visit brilliant.org/Patrick or click on the link in the video description.
Yes.
You'll also get 20% off an annual premium.
I ended up getting this.
Sales in the United States rose nearly 5% in the first quarter, despite the higher interest rates making car purchases more expensive for consumers. EV sales grew only 2.7% over the same period, well below the 47% growth in December.
It's not too far away. Yeah. So I know you can make it.
Consumers are buying
Right.
cars, but they're not buying as many EVs. Car dealers are saying that mainstream buyers are still skeptical.
I can.
Cars due to their
I'm good.
high prices and the lack of good public charging infrastructure. The recent boom in EV sales was led by technology enthusiasts, the kind of people who love having.
Could you check to see how he felt about me this morning?
People interested in owning an EV already bought one. The early
What would make you specifically ask for the morning? Did something happen?
They
Won't give details.
published a list of the 10 fastest depreciating cars on the market, and all 10 of them were electric.
Not exactly.
Down almost 30% from our a good reason for this depreciation is the constant prices that manufacturers pay for new cars. A friend told me this weekend
3? Yeah.
he bought a Porsche Taycan 2 years ago for £120,000. This guy wanted to trade the Porsche dealership against a new car and was told that it was now only worth £40,000, and the dealership didn't even want to as they had too many.
Well, that's significant. So I got 3 last time. You just paid 3. And then we got another 3. I believe it means something when you get 3 3s. Yeah, but how he felt about you, it indicates a positive trend. Something he liked. As though he was softening up a little bit.
Electric cars are expensive to build and currently cost 30 to 40% more than an equivalent ICE vehicle according to NFT. On top of that, they're expensive to insure and repair. Often
Did you do something special?
for replacement parts, meaning that owners or insurance companies often find themselves paying for rental cars for extended periods while they wait for parts to come in to repair an EV. While most of the auto industry
3.
believes that
Well, I do know
battery
3
electric
correlates
is
with
the best long-term
foundation
plan for
building.
car makers,
teamwork,
popularity of hybrids is causing
working
some
together.
manufacturers to change their minds. When EV sales grew
He rejected
46%
you.
in 2023, hybrids, a 25-year-old technology,
What do you mean he rejected you?
76%, according to
We talking about sex?
Many motorists like hybrid cars as they are cheaper and often more practical than fully electric vehicles, especially if you need to take the occasional long trip. The hybrid market is led by Toyota, whose stock is up over 90% in the last year. Ford, the number 2 hybrid manufacturer, expects its sales of hybrids to quadruple in the next 5 years. General Motors, who stopped
And I
selling
gave him a
hybrids in the
hug
US 4 years
and
ago
left the
in
house.
favor of EVs, now says that it's considering bringing them back.
That's
Eiko
sweet.
Toyoda, the chairman of Toyota, predicted in January that demand for battery electric vehicles would hit a ceiling at 30% of the global market, opening the way for more hybrid sales. Toyota has been slower to focus on EVs than other manufacturers, arguing that not all areas of the world will adopt EVs at the same pace due to the high cost of the vehicles as well as a lack of charging infrastructure. EV adoption has been a lot lower in the United States than in Europe and China, and there are a few good reasons for this. The average American drives twice the annual mileage driven by Europeans, and Americans take more long road trips than any other nationality in the world.
So I'm getting the notion that if you give him more hugs, they'll wear him down.
Charge their EV at home, making it more practical. Other complications to EV adoption in the States are that there are greater temperature extremes there, and both hot and cold climates can degrade the batteries in electric vehicles. Americans also have a preference for larger vehicles like trucks and SUVs, which have only recently become available in electric format. The biggest reason given by
just keep doing
Americans
that.
for not buying electric vehicles is quite simply the cost.
Anything else been happening with you? Like work?
Like
Anything
a
fun?
subsidy of $7,500 towards the purchase price, and on top of that, a number of states offer additional credits of between $1,000 and $7,500. Of the top 10 EV adoption states,
Work has been boring. I'm over it.
When the vehicles are subsidized,
I see.
them, but they're a lot less willing to pay full price for EVs. Other countries that surprisingly lag in EV adoption are Japan and South Korea. With Japan,
I feel like I'm going to be in a love triangle
Japanese drivers
very soon.
Cars, which are cheap.
Just been spending time with friends and family to distract myself. Excellent. You? Yes, me.
It's tough to convert people from cars like that to expensive EVs.
Oh, with the girl? Yeah.
Koreans,
I guess I did mention her to you.
Quite densely.
The married one?
Charging infrastructure a problem there, even though the country is behind the idea of EV adoption.
Yeah, I mean, things did progress more. We definitely know each other's preferences now. But I don't know, we haven't talked in like 2 or 3 days now. So I don't know what she has going on. Do we meet up? No. We live very far from each other. So I don't know, maybe she's getting cold feet since she is literally married. Who knows? But at the same time, some other girl I know had basically she whined and made me like sleep with her for the night on the phone, not physically. I mean, and it was super platonic. I mean, I'm just like thinking to myself, I'm like, God, I hope she doesn't do anything weird right now. Because I'm not trying to do it. Because I've been there with the whole like 2 women liking me at the same time. I don't want to do that. ever again. It was really horrible.
Citigroup argued in a recent report that despite the slower EV adoption, the United States is structurally well
What
set up
was?
for rapid EV adoption.
Like having
Averages almost 2 vehicles. The analysts argue
two women
that if
like
US households were to decide to own one
into me
electric
at the same
vehicle
time.
and one EV demand in theory could rise overnight. The eventual rollout of subsidized U.S. charging stations under Biden's
Yeah, it was
Inflation
very
Reduction Act
chaotic,
will make EVs
very draining.
to American consumers. California announced in the summer of 2022 that the state would ban the sale
I mean, I really like The Married Woman
by 2035,
a lot,
requiring all new passenger cars and
but yeah,
trucks
I
sold in the
mean,
state to be electric vehicles. Within weeks of this announcement,
just one of those things. If they can't take the step forward, I mean, can't really get hung up on that.
China is the country that's most likely to meet its target of EVs, making up 40% of vehicles sold by 2030.
Yeah, but she's married, right? Yes. I mean, it seems like they have some sort of dead marriage, blah, blah, blah. He's abusive. They have kids. Basically, she's just there for them. Money in the house. One of those kinds of things. She's older than me. Like, she's almost 40. So, I don't think they're going to be together very long if she's already like, because we met very randomly. So I don't think she'll last long, but there's not a lot I could do for her unless she wants to take a chance, because I am making a lot more money doing tarot. I mean, I know it's slow here, but I have like $1,000 coming in off of some extra work I've been doing with tarot. Yeah, the Canadian woman. I think I've mentioned her to you. She definitely bumped up my income by a lot. And she's still talking to me. So yeah, I don't know. I think he's an electrician or something. I can't match that, but sometimes it's worth it to give it all away to be with someone you're more compatible with. I mean, you end up saving money in the long run, or however you want to put it. You end up gaining more vitality than forcing yourself to be in a miserable situation. I don't know how to put it. I'm surprised she has so much money to spend. Me too. I want to know what's going on in Canada. I mean, I know she runs her own business. I think her relatives run a mechanic shop. So I don't know. I feel like she's the youngest sister too.
The reason EVs are so popular in Norway has more to do with the tax savings than a love of electric cars. Government subsidies do increase the sales of electric vehicles, but we have to wonder if sales will continue to grow when subsidies are eventually withdrawn. The German government abruptly cancelled its electric car subsidy program in December last year due to a budget.
God, I really need a girlfriend.
Since 2016
it is kind of hard, though.
According to Bloomberg, sales of new EVs in Germany would need to quadruple over the next 3 years and rise sixfold.
Can't stay too long today.
To reach Germany's
yeah.
Of having 15 million
nothing really's been going on. It was just a transition day. How long have I been single? I think it's been 3 years now, which is probably why people are getting weird with me. because I go about 3-ish years before I get into a new relationship. So I'm going in season. It's always really good when I'm dating someone. Just, I end up going a few years single on and off. So it can be a little weird transitioning. So it'll probably happen soonish. Yes, it's definitely in the air. Is this pollen in my eyes or something? Why are they itching? But yeah, I don't even know why you came on today. Not a lot happened. You should just play it smooth. You're doing what you need to be doing. You're wearing them down. Just keep hugging him. Yeah, I just gotta, once you've softened them up enough, then you can hit them with the peg machine. That'll really set them straight.
Critical minerals and materials. If there's a change in administration in the United States in the upcoming election, it's likely that we'll see significant changes in EV.
So you see a convo happening by him in the next few days. Yes.
I recently watched 2 excellent videos on the topic of EV adoption, one by James May and the other by Harry Metcalf. I'll link to both.
I'm not initiating it. Yeah, just let him come to you.
James has owned 6 EVs in total, and Harry has owned both EVs and plug-in hybrids, and has a big solar installation at his house. Neither has an axe to grind against these technologies, in my opinion. Harry's video goes through his decision to buy a diesel Range Rover after shopping around for a new hybrid.
If something does come up, yes, I'm here.
Issues discussed in this video, explaining why EVs are so expensive to run in the UK, and that while fleet buyers are still buying EVs, private buyers stop. He argues
I'll see you.
Stop looking at what their customers want from cars, instead focusing on regulations with the hopes that their customers would come along for the ride. He makes some really good points on how automakers make it extremely difficult for a used car buyer to know the condition of the battery in an EV, where some have perfectly good batteries and others have lost more than half of their range due to the climate the car was exposed to and how frequently it was fast charged. Harry makes a bunch of smart arguments for what needs to change for the electric car revolution to really take place.
Going forward, the only true way to value an electric car in the marketplace at 3 years old, how healthy is the battery on it? That number should be as proud on the display, on the dash, as the miles it's covered, because it's critical. That's what values an electric car. If I saw a car at 3 years old and the battery health was at 98%, that is worth more than the ones at 74% because it's being constantly fast charged and comes from a hot climate. We need that information on the dash.
The James May video gives an honest breakdown of the pros and cons of EV ownership from an EV enthusiast perspective.
What we can call range anxiety, I actually think is recharging anxiety. Because if an electric car had a small battery, which would save weight, which is important, and save a lot of money, because the battery is the expensive bit. So it has a small battery.
That young seems familiar.
When it recharges in 1 minute, I'd be...
Hello, this is Shanoa. Now, regarding your question, you want to know which job you're going to hear from first, either the TSA or the cruise ship job. This one is pretty easy, given the spread that you got. The tower being upright shows that there's tumultuous times coming upon us, that there's a lot of chaos and a need for restructuring and order right now. Six of Cups and Ten of Cups being reversed shows that there's definitely a drag in the area of recreation and enjoyment right now for the public. This seems to be on a global scale too, which lines up with a lot of the stuff happening right now. So, going off of this, I can easily say that the TSA will get back with you far earlier than the cruise ship job will. If you'd like further information on what to expect from the details of what each job has in store for you if you were to take it, as well as which job would ultimately be best for you, you can give me a call or send me a message. I really extended that one and it's not going to take. I have to redo it. Oh my God.
But that doesn't mean they are ready for widespread adoption.
I'm going to have to
A
redo
lot
it.
of people argue that new battery technology or better ways of charging are just around the corner and that these will be game changers. Others argue that prices will fall due to economies of scale as more people make the switch to EVs. But if this is true, buyers would still be better off waiting rather than buying an inferior car today that will collapse in value once the new version becomes available. Cars are big purchases for most people, and they don't want to take a risk of buying something that quickly becomes obsolete the way they might with a new mobile phone. It's worth noting that EVs are very practical for an awful.
Hello, this is Shanoa. Now, regarding your question, you want to know if you'll hear back from the TSA or the cruise ship job first. Going by your cards, this ended up being a very easy spread. The tower being upright represents that right now there's a lot of chaos in the air, of real need for restructuring, order. Six of Cups and Ten of Cups being reversed shows that there is a severe lack of recreation and enjoyment right now in the world as well as amongst the public. There's just not a lot of desire or the ability to go have fun and just enjoy yourself. So, going from that, I would say that the TSA job will contact you first. You should expect to hear from them within the next 2 weeks. If you'd like further information about what you can expect at this job, as well as what would work best for you in terms of a position within the TSA, you can give me a call or send me a message. Why won't the audio send, dude?
Bit.org using the link in the video description. See you in the next video. Bye.
Hello, this is Shanoa. Now, regarding your question, you want to know if you'll hear from the TSA or the cruise ship job first and how soon. Going by the cards you got, this ended up being pretty easy, very straightforward. The primary card of the tower shows that there's a lot of chaos in the air and there's a real need for restructuring and order. Six of Cups and Ten of Cups being reversed shows that amongst the public, there's a lower drive for someone to go out and try to have fun. So it seems like a lot of people are stuck at home and not really able to go and live life. So, going off of this, I would say that the TSA will contact you first. I would expect them to answer you in 2 weeks. If you want further information about the details of your position within this job, as well as future options that will open up within the TSA, you can give me a call or send me a message.
Or just maybe get a little plate.
Why won't it send, bro? Hello, this is Shanoa. Now, regarding your question, you want to know if you'll hear back from the TSA or the cruise ship job first, and how soon will that happen? Going by your cards, this ended up being pretty easy, pretty straightforward. The Tower, being the primary card, shows that there's a lot of chaos in the world right now, that there's a strong need for a restructuring in order amongst all levels. Six of Cups and Ten of Cups being reversed shows that amongst the population, there's not a lot of energy left to really go and have fun or do anything recreational outside of one's home. So, going from this, I would say, based on the general needs, that the TSA will contact you first. I would expect them to contact you within 2 weeks from now. If you want further information about what to expect at your job at the TSA, as well as any future options that might open up career wise, you can give me a call or send me a message. That took forever.
Enter NASDAQ Investor Relations Intelligence. At the nexus of the capital markets, NASDAQ has built an ecosystem of solutions designed to empower IR professionals with purpose-built technology, AI-driven intelligent workflows, and decades of unique proprietary data and insights, bolstered by our experienced advisory team. NASDAQ's integrated solutions can help you simplify routine tasks, access real-time market insights, and capture and showcase ROI. Imagine making faster, informed decisions, broadening your perspective, and achieving greater connectivity and strategic alignment across the capital markets, governance, and sustainability domains. Make the impact that you were meant to make. The time for transformation is now. Confidently navigate the capital markets, turning unpredictability into opportunities and actions with NASDAQ Investor Relations Intelligence.
In 1821, Gregor MacGregor, a 19th century Scots soldier and adventurer, pulled off possibly the most audacious fraud in history when he made up a fictional country and then made a fortune selling bonds on its behalf. MacGregor deceived the public, banks, investors, and the governments of France and Venezuela. While not as famous today as Ponzi, Madoff, or Bankman-Fried, it's possibly fair to describe him as the greatest con man the world has ever seen. MacGregor's bond market frauds raised £1.3 million, which is equivalent to around $5 billion in today's money, which is a lot less than Madoff's scheme, but Madoff's investors got most of their money back, and Madoff ended up in jail. Gregor MacGregor, on the other hand, got off scot-free. MacGregor's scheme didn't involve convincing the world that he was a great investor. He was far more ambitious than that. He invented an entire country larger than Wales that was rich in natural resources but in need of development. He persuaded people to not only invest their savings in the bonds of a non-existent government, but also to emigrate to his fictional country. Born on Christmas Eve 1786, Gregor MacGregor was the son of an East India Company sea captain. He joined the British Army at the age of 16, the youngest age possible, when his family paid for a commission as an officer. Before the Crimean War, British military ranks were mostly bought and sold rather than being earned, conveniently avoiding the need to wait for a promotion based on merit or seniority. A year later, Gregor married the daughter of an admiral, receiving a significant dowry which allowed him to buy the rank of captain for about £900. Around this time, he is said to have developed an obsession with uniforms, rank, insignia, and medals, an obsession which would stick with him for life. Gregor is described as being an unremarkable soldier, and he resigned in 1810 after an argument with one of his superiors. He had been part of the 57th Regiment, who about a year after he resigned earned the nickname the diehards for their bravery during the Peninsular War. Never one to worry much about the details, MacGregor made much of the regiment's fighting reputation, leaving out the fact that it had been earned after he had left. When he returned to Edinburgh, he took on the title of colonel and wore the badge of a Portuguese knightly order. No one loved military insignia more than Gregor MacGregor. The Scots didn't care much for his stories, and so he moved to London, introducing himself as Sir Gregor MacGregor Bard, falsely being the chieftain of the MacGregor clan and a baronet and a colonel. He did this without even buying one of those Scottish lordship title packs like so many YouTubers did a bit over a year ago.
As of today, that's right. I'm officially a lord.
MacGregor's tall tales seem to have worked a bit better in London, and according to his biographer, he was soon the toast of the town. Unfortunately for him, the Venezuelan revolutionary general Francisco de Miranda was in London at the same time and was drawing even more attention than MacGregor. An adventure in the New World status. At the time, the Spanish were occupied fighting Napoleon, and this distraction allowed Spanish colonies in Latin America to rise up against Spanish rule. MacGregor's wife died around this time, bringing an end to his main source of income, and so he sold the small Scottish estate that he had inherited from his father and sailed for Venezuela, seeking adventure and wealth. He landed in Caracas to find that an earthquake had recently leveled the city, and the revolutionaries were starting to get quite desperate. MacGregor was quite well when he met the revolutionary leadership and dropped his claims of nobility, which might not have gone down too well for them. His false credentials and his tales of having led the 57 diehards impressed the revolutionary leadership enough that he was made a colonel and put in charge of a cavalry company. In 1812, he married a wealthy Venezuelan woman, Josefa Antonia Andrea Andrada y Rivera MacGregor, a name that would never fit on a modern driving license. She also happened to be a cousin of Simon Bolivar. As the revolution began running out of steam, MacGregor fled to Curacao, later joined by Simon Bolivar, who now that General Miranda was imprisoned in Spain, was the new leader of the Venezuelan independence movement. MacGregor fought along with Bolivar for Venezuelan independence, and his biographer says that he demonstrated genuine military skill at this time. Bolivar even wrote him a letter which read, "The retreat which you have the honor to conduct is in my opinion superior to the conquest of an empire." In 1817, in a toned-down version of the frauds that would soon follow, MacGregor traveled to the United States to raise money and volunteers to invade Florida, which was at the time a Spanish colony. He sold $160,000 worth of scrip to investors, promising either land in Florida or their money back with interest. This is equivalent to around $4 million in today's money, and none of those investors ever saw their money again. Learning a little every day is one of the most important things you can do, both for personal and professional growth. Today's sponsor, Brilliant.org, helps you build real knowledge in minutes a day with fun lessons you can do whenever you have time. Brilliant is the opposite of mindless scrolling. It's a learning platform designed to be uniquely effective, as each lesson involves hands-on problem solving that lets you play around with concepts so that you learn by doing rather than by memorization. Brilliant recently launched a bunch of new content in data analysis using real-world data. You can learn how to parse and visualize massive data to make them easier to interpret, which will help you to make better informed decisions. Brilliant problem-solving approach to learning not only helps you build real knowledge on specific topics, but also helps you to become a better thinker. The content on Brilliant is all crafted by an award-winning team of teachers, researchers, and professionals from MIT, Caltech, Microsoft, Google, and more. I'm told that it's 6 times more effective learning with an interactive app than just watching a lecture. With brilliance, you learn by trying things out for yourself, which is what makes learning with brilliance so powerful. To try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/Patrick or click on the link in the description. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Having raised money and volunteers in the United States, McGregor sailed from Charleston, South Carolina in a ship with 80 men to capture Amelia Island, a small island off the coast of Florida that's 38 miles by 4 miles, with the words, "I shall sleep either in hell or Amelia tonight." The Spanish commander guarding the island overestimated the size of McGregor's force and immediately surrendered. McGregor named the island the Republic of the Floridas, which he was, of course, the leader of. He designed a flag, a green cross on a white background, and set about taxing the locals. His troops were unhappy as he wasn't paying them, so he quickly designed and printed his own currency, dollars, which didn't make them a whole lot happier. When he saw that the Spanish forces were building up along the mainland opposite Amelia Island, he turned over command to one of his troops, a former U.S. congressman, and fled to the Bahamas, where he had medals made up commemorating his victory. McGregor claimed that he had achieved a great victory in taking Amelia Island, and that he then sold it to a Frenchman who went on to lose it to the Spanish. He can't be blamed for that, right? The story repeated itself over the next few years. In total, he captured 3 towns that were later more or less abandoned to the Spanish. Large sums of money were either embezzled or lost in these adventures, and of course, titles were made up and medals were awarded. Unfortunately, by the end of 1819, McGregor's luck was starting to run out. At this point, McGregor was wanted in Jamaica for piracy, and Simon Bolivar, who was now the president of Colombia, having heard the stories of McGregor's awful behavior, ordered his death by hanging if he ever set foot on the South American mainland again. Michael Rafter, the brother of Colonel William Rafter, who had been left behind to be killed by the Spanish army in one of these campaigns, published a book in London that year entitled Memoirs of Gregor McGregor, describing the terrible behavior and the lies that had been told. The book concluded that any person could be induced again to join him in his desperate projects would be to conceive a degree of madness and folly of which human nature, however fallen, is incapable. It turned out that human nature was more capable of folly than Rafter estimated. Gregor McGregor was only getting going. He disappeared for about 6 months in late 1819, resurfacing at the court of King George Frederick Augustus, the Mosquito King. McGregor was now ready to kick off the most brazen confidence scheme in history by inventing an entire country with documentation to prove its existence. He would convince people to invest and to even move to the country he had invented. The Mosquito Kingdom, overseen by King George Frederick Augustus, was a British protectorate that straddles the border between modern-day Nicaragua and Honduras. The British authorities had been crowning the most powerful chieftains in the regions as kings since the 17th century. These kings had no real power, but the facade allowed the British to obstruct Spanish claims in the region with the argument that these were sovereign territories under British protection. The Mosquito King granted Gregor McGregor a 12,500 square mile plot of mostly useless land along the Mosquito Coast in exchange for rum and jewelry, the currency of the day. McGregor named this plot of land Poye and returned to London a year later, calling himself the Cazique of Poye. A cazique, he explained, was the equivalent of a prince. He claimed to have been given this title by the Mosquito King. Now look, I might be mispronouncing Cazique and I might be mispronouncing Poye too, but these are words made up by a man who mostly spoke Scottish Gaelic as you. So odds are that he mispronounced them too.